Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where a Karen is annoyed that the little girls who live next door are being abused. Am I the butthole for telling my sister that she's not really the kind of mom that she says or thinks that she is? My sister, Camantha, is in her 40s, and she's much older than me. I'm in my 20s. Camantha is a mom, and it's her whole personality. She constantly posts on social media that her home is open to any kid who might not feel like they have a place to go. She gets real into it, and every fifth or so post is one of those memes about being the cool place to crash, or that she wants to be the house where all the kids can just walk in and grab a soda. She has her kids' friends call her Mama K. Whatever. Recently, we were talking on the phone, and she cursed and said, "Not again." And she said she had to be quiet so that no one knew that she was home. She then ranted about how her neighbors, who yell and scream all the time, and their daughter Annabelle, who's 7. I guess that Annabelle and Camantha's daughter, Petal, who's 8, are friends. Annabelle comes over every day, or tries to, and she rings the bell and sits on the porch if they aren't home. Camantha said that when Annabelle comes over, she's always asking for food, and Camantha feeds her most days. Camantha said that Annabelle's older sister, Betty, who's 15, refuses to go into the house when their dad is home. She'll actually sleep on their front porch. To me, this screams that these girls are at the very least food insecure, likely neglected, and possibly abused. Camantha said that she was just done dealing with someone else's kid. I laughed and said, so much for all those Facebook posts, eh? Oh, was she pissed. She asked me what I meant, and I said that she posts about being a cool mom and the place that all the neighborhood kids could come crash. But then, when someone actually seems to need a safe place to stay, she's hiding in her bathroom and pretending she's not home. I said that I guess she's not really the kind of mom that she says she is. She went mental, screaming at me about how I don't know anything. Granted, Camantha said that she would be fine with Annabelle coming over if the girl didn't bully her daughter in school. I asked her what Annabelle had done to bully Petal, and she said that occasionally Annabelle doesn't sit with Petal at lunch, and one time she kicked mulch at her during recess. To me, these didn't sound like bullying, but like typical playground conflicts, and frankly, a pretty weak excuse, and I told her so. Anyways, Camantha isn't talking to me currently, and keeps sending me hateful texts about not knowing anything about kids. While I don't 100% think that she's responsible for dealing with Annabelle, I do think that she's being a butthole for saying that she's that kind of mom online, but then not actually doing it when it's happening in real life. So, am I the butthole? OP, your sister is definitely a butthole, not just for the hypocrisy of saying one thing and doing the other, but also for not calling CPS on those neighbors who clearly are neglecting their kids. If a 15-year-old girl isn't willing to sleep in her own house, then, I mean, we have to all assume the worst here, right? Am I the butthole for refusing to wear a skimpy maid outfit to an exclusive party that my friend got invited to? I'm a 22-year-old woman, and I live with my friend, also a 22-year-old woman, and she recently met a guy at a beach party. She's pretty much obsessed with him because he comes from a well-known, well-off family in the area and has a certain level of status associated with him. She told me they were sort of dating, and obviously I've been supportive through it all, as a friend. However, I've met him a few times, and I don't exactly hold favorable opinions of him. I didn't tell my friend because I wasn't fully sure of my views yet, and I didn't want to be negative. Anyway, he's throwing a party soon and invited my friend. He asked her to bring me along too. He said that it was a themed party and that everyone would be assigned a character and style to wear. He sent my friend a picture of our assigned outfits. 2 skimpy as hell maid costumes sprawled on a bed. I immediately told her that I would not be wearing that, especially not to a party with a bunch of strangers. Initially, she thought that I was kidding, but then understood that I'm serious. She said that wearing these isn't a big deal at all, and that I need to stop being so prudish and serious. I told her it's very humiliating that this guy thinks it's perfectly fine to request 2 women wear this to his party. Like, you're seriously asking 2 girls who are clearly not as rich as you to dress up as maids to your party? I asked her if she seriously sees nothing wrong with this, and she said no. She explained that he just has weird taste and that it might just be a weird rich person thing. I told her again that I won't be wearing some skimpy maid costume. Not only is it embarrassing, it's especially disrespectful to me because I don't have any sort of meaningful relationship with the guy. And yet, he thought it's appropriate to include me in this request. I told her I will not be wearing the clothes, that I won't be going to the party, and I will from now on avoid her new boyfriend altogether. We had a massive argument, and she said that I'm lame, boring, and not a supportive friend. She said that instead of helping her, I'm ruining everything and being a killjoy. When she told the guy that I'm refusing to participate, he even asked her if getting paid for it would change my mind. That made it even worse! Apparently, he told her that I have the right attitude, which makes no sense because I've been combative all this time, and that his friends would love to get to know me. What the hell? I'm getting angry just typing this. I was pretty upset and I told my dad about the situation. The party is tomorrow night and my friend decided to go alone and she's not really talking to me right now. Am I the butthole or is she? I feel strangely guilty about it even though I'm standing up for my boundaries. Am I the butthole? OP, I have to wonder if the reason why she's not talking to you is because she's been roofied, because that's the whole vibe I'm getting from this party. I literally have to wonder if this is some kind of I don't know what to call it. A sex party? Can we just call it a sex party? That's kind of what it sounds like. So I have a feeling that you did yourself a favor by staying out of it. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. And as for your friend, I can't really tell if she's being a butthole or if she's just so in love and so deep into the honeymoon phase that she completely can't see any red flags. Either way, I'm giving her, let's say 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for locking my girlfriend out of the basement so I could eat in peace? I'm a 39-year-old guy. My girlfriend is 41. We've lived together for a bit over a year in my house. During the time that I've lived with my girlfriend, I've become very used to the fact that she really seems to de-stress by complaining. Much of this complaining is about other people in her life, such as her mother and her former coworkers. But much of this complaining is about me and how I'm not meeting her expectations in one way or another. I'm generally fine listening to her rant, and I'll make all the appropriate motions to show that I'm listening. But a few months back, her complaining increased significantly in frequency. Again, I'm happy to listen to her, but one time that I do not want to listen to complaining is when I'm eating. Breakfast time isn't an issue because she's still asleep when I eat, and lunchtime is fine because I work 6 days a week and I'm out for lunch. But I would really love nothing more than to just have a quiet dinner. It's especially irritating because she gets upset when I don't answer her fast enough, even when I'm chewing. She'll start saying, "Hello, hello, hello, are you even listening?" as I try to swallow the food quickly and answer her. I expressed this to her a few months back. I put it as nicely as possible, with the excuse that I don't do well with talking during mealtime. If anything, this has had the opposite effect. I'm convinced that she's actually timing her complaints to begin when I start eating dinner now. While I'm making my dinner, she'll be quiet, and when I sit down waiting for it to cool, she'll be quiet. But once the fork reaches my mouth, she'll immediately start complaining. Last Saturday, I told her that I couldn't deal with her complaining during dinner time anymore, and that if she did it again, I would start eating elsewhere. She responded, "Yeah, okay, fine." Then she sat down at the table and stared at me. When I took my first bite, she said, "Oh, by the way, today you kicked one of my shoes when you were putting your shoes on. It made me feel like you only care about your own things and not mine." I stood up and went down to the basement to eat, locking the door behind me. I've taken to doing this for every day since then, and sometimes she'll bang on the door. At other times, she's demanded I give her a key because I have the only copy. Today, she was literally crying and begging me to eat dinner at the table, but I said no. Now, she's threatening to take the door off its hinges while I'm at work. So I know now that I have to lock it from the outside before going down tomorrow. Am I in the wrong here? OP, clearly you're not in the wrong, but why on earth are you still in a relationship with this woman? She sounds awful. She sounds miserable to live with. You sound miserable. Honestly, she sounds miserable too. I don't know what either of you are getting out of this relationship. So just dump her, and then she can complain to her next boyfriend about you, and you can eat your meals in peace. You get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving her a 3 out of 5 buttholes. She just sounds exhausting. Am I the butthole for not wanting to use my inheritance to pay for building my husband's sister's a home on our farm? My husband is 52 and I'm 50. We've been married for 31 years. We purchased his parents' farm several years ago, and we paid for it with a mortgage. We've since paid that mortgage off. We also built our forever home on the farm, and that's also paid for. We raise cattle on the farm. His family is always asking for help, especially his sister and a couple of his nephews. For context, we took care of his father, mother, and his sister with Down syndrome when nobody else in his family would take care of them. We were the only ones of his siblings who still had young children at home, but we felt that if we didn't take care of them, the state was going to step in and take them away. In my family, you take care of your family, so we took them in and never looked back. However, I think his family resented us for this and somehow feels like they're owed something because we own the family farm. And for some reason, my husband thinks that he has to take care of his other sisters even though there's nothing wrong with them except they have low IQs. I've inherited a decent amount of money from my parents. My husband doesn't know the specifics, and he's upset that I won't disclose the amount. He doesn't have access to this account. He wants me to take some of my money and build a house on our farm, as in his family's farm, for his sisters to live in. That way, they won't have to pay rent anymore or live in apartments. He wants us to pay their property taxes and insurance because they won't be able to afford that, but they can pay their own utilities. He doesn't want to charge them rent either. Why would I use my inheritance that my parents worked their butts off to earn and pass on to me so that my husband's lazy sisters can sit in a brand new house on their family farm and never have to pay property tax or insurance or rent? I feel like this is my money and I shouldn't have to spend it on his family. I want to put the majority of it into trust funds to our 2 kids so I can pass it down to them. And to be honest, I'm seriously thinking about just taking my inheritance and getting a divorce and living happily ever after. So, am I the butthole? Yeah, I mean, it's entitled obviously, but also it's really, kind of weird that he would prioritize funneling money to his sisters instead of to his own children. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your husband 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for not telling my husband's family that I speak their language? I'm a 27-year-old woman, and my husband Peter is 29. We've been married for about 3 years. We have 1 child together, and I was pregnant with our second. I'm Western Canadian while he's from Germany. We lived in Canada for a long time, but because of inflation, moving back to Germany seemed like a better option for us. We bought a nice house in Hanover where Peter is from. The day after our flights to Germany, we all visited Peter's family. This was the second time that I've seen them. The first was at our wedding. They greeted us and brought us inside of the house, fussing over my son. We had dinner, and soon we left the house, wanting to settle into our new home. We visited Peter's family often for the next few months, but I started to realize that they would sometimes speak about me in German. They would make rude comments on my hair and makeup, question my fashion choices, and overall were just very unkind to me. They also said mean things about my pregnant belly, which I was already insecure about. I ended up talking to my husband about this. I told him that I didn't like the way that they were treating me. I said that I hated how my every choice was judged. He told me that he would talk to his family. The next time that we went to his parents' house, there were no more mean comments. For about 3 months, it was like nothing ever happened. I gave birth to a perfect baby girl that we named Lilith. Peter's family was very upset when they heard the name. If you didn't know, Lilith means ghost or of the night. We didn't pick this name because of its meaning, but because it's a name that every girl in my family has had for many years. My middle name is Lilith, along with my mom's, my grandma's, and even my great-grandma's. For a while, I didn't visit my in-laws. I didn't want to hear them talk about how I shouldn't have named my daughter Lilith. But yesterday, we saw them again. It was my mother-in-law's birthday. As soon as we showed up, things started to go badly. Everyone wanted to hold Lilith, which made my mother-in-law upset because people weren't paying attention to her and it made me overwhelmed. I didn't want people holding her. I was going through a pretty bad postpartum depression and it was still pretty early to see people. I let people look at her, but I declined when anyone asked to hold her. During dinner, I heard my sister-in-law talking to my mother-in-law in German. I heard her complaining about how she couldn't hold my baby. My sister-in-law even had the audacity to call me, and I quote, a fat, ugly, hokey addict. I turned to my sister-in-law and mother-in-law and told them off in German. I basically said that I've always known what they've said about me, but calling me names was the last straw. I also mentioned that I've known German for almost my whole life. The table instantly blew up. People were yelling at me because apparently this was all my fault. I left with Peter and we haven't talked to them since. So am I the butthole? Oh, P, I can't believe that your in-laws named their son Peter. Don't they know that Peter means penis in English? What is wrong with them? Man, it's just another batch of stupid, entitled hypocrites with their own heads so far up their butts that they can't see the light of day. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your in-laws 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.